Okay, so let's talk about the brief example, and we're going to give the business case of the things that you need to do with your autoresponder account, and Aweber in particular, in order to make sure that you're doing everything you can to generate leads. And these are the things that you really must be doing just about every time that you either launch a product, or even if you decide you want to start looking to get people to opt in so that you can sell to them. These are the things that you and I must be doing pretty much all the time. And I call this the disciplined business case, because the things that I'm going to tell you to do, these are a discipline. They will seem as if they do not add up to much. They will seem as if they are overkill, but if you do not do them, then what happens is you don't necessarily get the, I'd say, the momentum to do some of the other things. So let's talk about what they are. Okay, so the first thing, obviously, you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set up your first list to collect names and email addresses of prospects. And it doesn't matter where you're setting this up, where that opt-in page is going to be. You want to set up that first list to collect names and email address of prospects only. Now, when you talk to these people, when you're sending emails to these people, you are going to speak to them as if they have not become your customer yet. So you want to keep them on a separate list. Does everybody understand that? So if you get what I mean by that, please put the number 1 in the question box. You need to market to these folks as if they have not become your customer. And quite honestly, it doesn't matter if they have bought other products like yours. If they haven't bought them from you, they're not your customer yet. You can't assume that they are. So you need to speak to them as if they are new to you, not necessarily new to the industry. Does that make sense? So the difference, again, I'm not saying that they got to be new to internet marketing. I'm not saying they have to be new to the niche. I'm saying they need to be new to you in the niche. And so you want to collect them into a list. However you set it up, you're going to set up that first list for those people. Now, one of the things that you and I need to do on every sales and opt-in page that we do, and some of you are going to feel a little sheepish about this, you need to set up an exit pop from that sales page or opt-in page. And again, I understand how that feels. I understand that might feel a little weird, and you might feel a little bit too salesy. I promise you, you're leaving leads on the table, and I promise you, you're leaving people on the table that will eventually come to like you, that will eventually become to like you and trust you. So whatever your sales page is, whatever page builder you're using, you have to exit pop people who leave that page into another list. So that means then you're going to have to make sure you've got an offer that's awesome so that people can't say no to it. It needs to be something that's so awesome that people would be willing to pay for it. And those of you who buy PLR, you've got some of those offers. So put something on a page that people can get, so when they click away from your page the first time, they're still going to become your prospect, because you're going to promise them something that they're going to get that's absolutely awesome. Now, does everybody understand that? So if you get that, if you understand that concept, please put the number 2 in the question box. Now, how many of you feel a little funny about that? So if you feel a little funny about an exit pop, I want you to put the number 3 in the question box. Because I know I know that makes you feel a little funny, and you don't want to do it because it feels like a little bit over the top. Yes, I understand that, but guess what? You cannot. You will leave some of the people that will eventually become I'd say your most ardent supporters behind, and if you've really got something great to offer, it's your duty to try to collect those people and put them in your autoresponder, right? Okay, now, if you are using a bonus page, same concept. Most marketers don't do this. And again, sometimes I don't even do it. And again, most of it, if I don't do this, is because I get lazy, right? And because, again, it's one of those boring things that we walk away from, because, again, we try to focus on the high-value stuff. But these are little things that when you do them and you do them repeatedly, those little things add up into lots more leads, and those more leads will end up being sales. So even if you send people to a bonus landing page, you collect the leads from that page with an exit pop too. Same concept. Now, you need to be writing the messages out for this campaign ahead of time. Do not send these people a broadcast email. I promise you, you'll not only, number one, you're going to have people coming into this campaign at different times. Number two, you cannot help but sound weird if you're trying to broadcast to these folks. If these folks are meeting you for the first time, if you've got them segmented into a list, you need to talk to them differently, and you need to write these messages out, and you need to think about what you're going to say if they're meeting you for the first time. Number two, if it seems like these are folks that might be, let's say, people who have gotten onto this list another way, then you got to find a way to move them off of this list. So in other words, let's say then that you have people that, I don't know, that for whatever reason, they're on your prospect list and they're getting in your prospect list the second or third time. You have to write something into your emails. You need to think about this. You need to move them off of that list. Does that make sense? So if you get what I'm saying, put the number 4 in the question box. This is important, folks. And again, the reason we don't do this stuff is because it takes time to set up. You only have to set this stuff up once. You only set it up once. So again, I understand it takes time. I understand that it seems like overkill, but you have to set this stuff up once. And even if you start creating other lists, what you're going to do is you're going to just move that over to the new list, right? Okay, so write the messages out for that list ahead of time. Create them as drafts in Aweber, and then add them to your follow-ups. Everybody, if you haven't gone through the course, you can go through the course and you can learn how to do that. Please exclude these people from your broadcast. And I'm just, if they're new to you, I don't care what the industry does. I don't care about that. Exclude these people from your broadcast. Now, here's the exception to the rule. Here's the exception to the rule. If all you're going to send these people is value, you're going to send these people, let's say, to a training you're doing, fine. I don't have any problem with that. I would just say put some effort into thinking about this campaign ahead of time. Now, you need to watch the statistics and make adjustments on these follow-ups. Now, Aweber will give you statistics on your follow-ups. I'm not talking about the broadcast statistics. I'm talking about your follow-up statistics. If you find that people are not opening up the next email, your next follow-up, that's because something you did in that follow-up you lost them, right? You lost them someplace. And so that's when you go back and you make adjustments to that follow-up because you lost them in the follow-up before that. Does that make sense? If you get that, put the number 5 in the question box. So in other words, you look at all your statistics, and when the people are coming through, you're gonna look at how you're affecting them. And again, there's nothing wrong with making adjustments as you go. So watch those statistics to your follow-ups and then make adjustments based on what's happening in the next follow-up. Now, very important. I know most of you know this. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I got to preach to but the choir needs to be preached to anyway. You set up your products to collect emails when there's a purchase made. Standard practice, but not everybody does it. I'm serious, because just because you made the sale doesn't mean that it's over. And the affiliate networks make it easy for you. PayPal does not, right? And I think I went over that. I did go over that in the course. You can still set up your email list to collect leads when you sell something on PayPal. So collect the email address. Now, here's the thing. You may not have the best email address, but you got something. So do this process. Make sure that when you sell something, that person gets automatically added to your email marketing list. Then, that means you're going to have to set that up with PayPal, and you can do this with all affiliate platforms. Now, the other thing that you need to do, and I think I talked about this in the advanced course, make sure you turn off double opt-in confirmation when you're collecting purchase emails, right? After purchase emails, there's no need for you to double opt-in. And again, you're not. Please do not think that you're being sneaky by doing that. people are not gonna confirm if you try to confirm their email at that point. Again, don't overdo trying to be, I guess, you were being ethical by collecting names and email addresses. Does everybody understand the vibe I'm coming from right now? So if you understand what I mean by that, put the number 6 in the question box. You must collect the name and turn off double opt-in. Now, if you don't, don't be overcautious. What James Landers is saying exactly. Do not be overcautious, right? You go ahead and you do it then, and you're not necessarily getting the best email address anyway. Understand that. How many of you know that more than likely most of us these days who are online marketers, and even those of us who are not online marketers, we have a PayPal address, and then we have our cool people address. How many of you all know that? So how many of you all are like that? So how many of you on this call right now, you have a PayPal address and you have a cool people address, right? So you have an address that cool people can send to you, and then you have a PayPal address. What you want to get from people when they sign up is you want their cool people address. So you still got to go the next step. And the next step, what I covered in the advanced course, is you seek the double opt-in confirmation, right? After the purchase, you still try to get that email address, and you do that by offering them another gift. So in other words, and again, folks, some of you all are going to say, well, Charles, you didn't do that. Well, again, sometimes I get lazy with this, right? This is something that I am reminding myself just as much as I am reminding you right now. After the purchase, you have to ask people again, because if you offer somebody something really super cool and you tell them, hey, you know what, you can get this if you come and you give me your name and email address for this, however you say it, right? Say, hey, I've got something really cool just for being my new customer. Go to this address and you'll get it. And they get there, it's going to be an opt-in page. If they really want that really cool thing, they're going to give you their cool people address, and that's the one you want. And then you're going to get a double opt-in confirmation then. This is what I call belt and suspenders. So in other words, you already did collect the lead when you got them after purchase, right? Does everybody understand that? You did get the lead. However, you go the next step further in the disciplined business case. You try to get their cool people address, the email address that they only give to cool people. You want to be there, and you get there by asking them to get your cool stuff by giving them your name and email address. So again, now, please do not do this in any case, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before we move on, that please do not tell people that they have to opt in to get their paid product. Please do not do that, right? So don't try to collect their name and email address to get their product. Give it to them right away, right? They got to become part of your members area, that's fine. But again, don't keep it from them. Don't put them in your AWeber address. Don't put them in your AWeber. Don't put them in your GetResponse or whatever you're doing. Please do not put them there in order to get the product. Okay, so those are all the things that if you do these things on a regular basis, if you do these things, you will generate more leads than you're probably going to generate if you do not do them. And these are all the things that disciplined people do over and over and over again to get leads that kind of pile up on each other over months, over weeks, over years. When you do these things repeatedly, this is how you build momentum. Okay? Any questions? Okay, very good. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you listening in. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care. Okay, I want to talk to you today about how you can get started with AWeber. And AWeber is a way of marketing your business. And you and I know, if you've been around being an entrepreneur or marketing online or marketing in general, you know that the money is in the list. And you and I really do need to become skilled at collecting contact information, names and email addresses. And we do have to use an autoresponder to do that. It's the best way. It's It's an automated way to do that, and we want to understand everything that our autoresponder does. Aweber is no different than that. Did you know, I mean, how many of you all knew, if I were to ask you, did you know that Aweber can keep your prospects and your buyers separate in how you communicate them, right? Maybe you knew that. Did you know that you could write messages weeks in advance when you knew there were going to be good circumstances? You can get in touch and stay with your customers with Aweber. We're going to talk about that a little bit here tonight. And one of the things that you probably realize is that marketing technology, whether you are an online marketer or whether or not you are a brick and mortar business owner, marketing technology is now getting smarter every single day. I mean, you can now do more with less because software is automating more of what we do, right? Even the most basic software designer is now able to create one application that takes the place of 2 or 3 that used to do the same job. How many of you all have found that? Now, many of these software designers, many of these applications, they're doing an excellent job of combining applications. You're probably seeing that. You probably purchased some of them. And you can now have software to build your business pages. You can now have software that helps you to manage your social media instead of having to go in every day. You can have software that actually automates and manages that process. You can have software these days now that helps you to create a logo all by itself. You can have software that helps you to create graphics and infographics. And you can have software that helps you now to create content from scratch. You can have software now that helps you to create sales videos. Pretty amazing, right? You used to have to do all of these things manually. You can have software that automates the payment process, and this is what really makes things exciting about where we're going in marketing technology, where we're going as online marketers, where we're going as entrepreneurs and business owners. Marketing technology, as you know, is now getting more connected. Now, if I lose anyone, it's going to be in the next few seconds. I'm going to tell you and mention a few things that you may or may not know about. There is an application called IFTTT, if this then that. Basically, all this is, that is something that connects 2 applications. So these really cool applications we've been talking about, there are now applications that connect those applications. So we have applications like IFT, Zapier, maybe you've heard of that, maybe you haven't, but Zapier is an application that takes those other things that I was telling you about and it connects them. There are web-based services like Wufoo that creates forms that connect these services, and JotForms. So all of these things that we are using now that used to take 3 or 4 different ways to do them, now we have them and we can connect them together. It's really fantastic and really exciting. And you probably realize, you probably purchased some of these things. Your social media now integrates with everything, right? So you can integrate social media, Facebook, Twitter, with just about everything. You can now integrate your storage with just about everything. How many of you all own Dropbox or Microsoft Cloud? And you can now connect that with everything. So marketing technology is now getting more and more connected every day. You can now use your WordPress website in particular. You can integrate with just about everything that we have talked about. So you can integrate everything, and now you can even integrate your payments, PayPal and Stripe and anything else you use. Some of you probably even use something called Bitcoin. You can do just about anything that you want and integrate and connect these things. But now what's the problem with that? Well, the problem is that some of these connections, depending on how well you use them and how well you keep up with them, they can add to some confusion. The problem typically is not that the software applications don't work. They typically do, right? The problem is not that the software applications don't integrate. They typically do. And so because they integrate and because they do work, we've got all kinds of choices we have to make, right? And so we tend to get distracted about which we want to do, what we want to do with some of these integrations. And the question is, always comes back down to this, right? Here's what the question is. Do these new applications generate more leads? Do these applications generate more sales? And that's ultimately what you and I have to be able to answer. We have to be able to justify whether or not these software applications actually do that. And if their integration must help me to generate more new leads and sales, If I were to tell you, do you know where most of these new applications start? When these applications, they look to figure out what they're going to integrate with. Have you ever looked in some of their credibility, some of their credibility logos? The number one logo that you'll see on all of the new applications is Aweber, right? Start looking at some of their marketing pages. Start looking at some of the common elements, and here's what you'll find. They establish their credibility by saying, hey, we integrate with Aweber, the autoresponder company that probably just about every new entrepreneur and marketer at least has to make a decision about, even if they don't use it right away. You might ask now, why Aweber, right? Why Aweber? It's probably because Aweber has an interface that's really intuitive to use. I mean, just about anybody can get started using Aweber and figure out how to write a message. Aweber, now for you technical people, it has software code, and Aweber's been around for a long time. So all that software code is being constantly worked on, constantly refined. That means then that it makes it easy for some of these companies we've been talking about to integrate with them. Their pricing model has been the same for probably over almost a decade. Makes it free. It always includes a free trial and makes it attractive to new entrepreneurs, many of whom get started with Aweber and they never cancel. And Aweber's platform is newbie friendly. Anybody can get in, and I said this before, can get in and send a message. So if Aweber's so cool, right, obviously there are no problems with it, right? It's really cool. Are there any problems with it? Well, if I were to mention a few cons, there might be a few cons. What are those cons? Well, Aweber's really super cool key benefits are still really technical, right? You still do have to really understand technical stuff to really get down and get some of the real benefits of it. Aweber has menus that you and I could miss if we weren't told about them ahead of time. So sometimes we can go months, years, lots of long periods of time missing some of the key benefits because we just didn't know they were in the menus. And Aweber does not really require its customers to go through any kind of onboarding before use, right? So they assume people already know how to use it, and that can be good and bad. Doesn't stop anybody from using it that wants to, but at the same time, though, that means then that you could get in, start using it, get used to it, and never really get to the really cool stuff. And Aweber doesn't automatically integrate with all web services. Many times it uses that third party I was telling you about, which is called Zapier. And the core feature of building opt-in pages can really leave the non-technical person behind, right? So Aweber is fantastic. But if there were any cons to it, it would be that. But you and I know that regardless of how we feel about those things not being there, we still have to do list building. We have to build our customer database. We have to build our list of names and email addresses. That part is vital. It is not an option. And because Aweber is right in the middle of all those integrations, then we want to know how we can use it. So we want to make sure that if all of these new applications are using Aweber as their source of credibility, if they're saying Aweber makes us credible, that means Aweber is right in the middle. So how are we going to overcome some of these technical barriers? Well, we can get a little bit of assurance, and we've put it together in a little course for you that you can find out all about when you click the link that's on this page. All you've got to do is to go straight to that link. We'll tell you more about the course, how you can get it, and how then you can overcome some of these technical barriers that could help you to really build an email list and a contact list that will help you to build your business. So with that, thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate you viewing in. Have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care. Hello and welcome. You are now looking at aweber.com, and aweber.com actually allows you to build and manage an email marketing list. Now, if you don't have an Aweber account, you'll come to this page at aweber.com, and then what you'll need to do in order to get started is to put your name and email address into the box in order to start a 30-day free trial. Now, if you currently do not have an email marketing list, you will start at Aweber at $19 a month after the 30 days is over. However, if you're going to be moving your list into Aweber, then you are going to be priced according to the tier that you're going to be on, any place from $19 a month up to $149 a month. And then once your list size is beyond 25,000, then Aweber will determine that on an as needed basis. When you get started with Aweber, you are going to have to put in a credit card in order to get started, because they're going to want to be able to bill you at the end of the period. And of course, you'll need to decide whether or not you're going to be billed monthly, quarterly, or annually. There are some price breaks if you do so quarterly and annually. Finally, they're going to have you agree to their service agreement. You are going to want to read that for your own information. So now, once you've read through the service agreement, you can then sign up for Aweber. Aweber will give you a login and password, and then what you'll need to do is to put that login password in order to log in. Once you are logged in, you will then be ready to start creating lists for your online business. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.